Here I will show how I clean the LCMS. First thing you need to do is close out the real-time analysis. Now that that's closed, we can go over to the MS. So we'll take off this front part. First, you need to unscrew this. And you can hook it up right here. And then open like this. And here in the back is where this electrospray ionization part just lifts up. And you can remove it. I'll show it again. Right here and down here. So just lift this up. And then here we have the desolvation line in here, and we're going to take off this front plate here with these two little screw things. And our tools are here. So we have this hex screw, I guess screwdriver, and then this normal screwdriver. And this piece to take off that front plate, and this little wrench for the capillary assay. And this little thing goes in the desolvation line. And then we're gonna take this, which is full of methanol, to clean the capillary assay. And then also this green tray, which has LCMS methanol. And also this little syringe. So you can put all the tools here. And then I'm gonna get 2 of these Kim wipes, which are here, and put 2 of these down. And then let's take off this plate here. So I'll use this hex screwdriver. So these 2 screws just come out, but they don't come all the way off. And then you take this piece and you can hook it right here and just pull it straight out, and this front plate comes out. But the desolvation line is still right here, so I'm just gonna put this at the desk. Using that same hex screwdriver, you'll just loosen this and this. You just need to loosen it a little bit. And then unplug this. There's a little tab here. Let's see. And then this twists and comes right out. So now we can take the screwdriver and just unscrew these 2 screws. to get, I guess, this cone out. And then I'm gonna get this little plastic cup which we have over here. And I'm gonna put the cone in here and fill this up with methanol. And then I'm going to take the desolvation line, and you can probably see here on the end, it's not too dirty, but there's a little residue on it, so I'll get that off. We're going to flush methanol through here, and what I'll do is get another Kim wipe, and I fold it like this. And there's like a long end and a short end. This short piece, I just wrap the Kim wipe around here. And then I get some methanol in my syringe. And I spray it through here. And I hold this Kim wipe tightly so that any methanol that spills goes on the Kim wipe and doesn't touch the rest of these components. And then I can take this little piece here and stick it through the desolvation line and kind of clean out any residue that's inside. And sometimes I'll use it to scrape any residue that's on the outside here, but looks pretty good right now. Just try and clean it all out. And then after I push this through the desolvation line, I'll put another squirt of methanol through here. So we'll go sonicate this, but we're also going to sonicate the capillary assay, which is in here. So I'll show you how we get that out. So unscrew this nut here, and then unscrew this black part. And just set it aside. And then unscrew this piece and just pull it up. And this is that capillary assay, and it's very delicate and fragile, so try not to bend it. Sometimes if the capillary assay falls down here and you try and push it up, it could get bent and break, so just be careful with it. So now just unscrew this and be careful again to not bend this. And then you can set this aside and pull the capillary assay out from here. And then this little vial has methanol in here, so just put it in. And then we'll go sonicate these for 15 minutes. Okay, so to sonicate, I put the capillary assay under one of these green vial racks so it'll stay submerged. And then I put this plastic cup just by itself. And then I'll fill the water up just to the point where the little plastic cup kind of starts floating a little bit. Like that. Just so all the parts are submerged in the water. You can see, like that. And then turn this on and put it to 15 minutes. While that's sonicating, we can clean the rest of these parts. So I'll get another Kim wipe, and to apply the methanol, I just use this syringe and I take it from here. And then you can just wrap a Kim wipe around your finger and saturate it with some methanol. And then clean the front face of this. And turn the Kim wipe around and do it again. Clean it here. It's pretty dirty in there. So get a new Kim wipe, saturate it with methanol, and wipe off that part. And here it's kind of rough on the metal. So if you like scrub it really harshly, you'll end up tearing the Kim wipe and leave little pieces of Kim wipe on here. So just try and go kind of gently in one direction so that I'm not tearing up little pieces of Kim wipe and leaving that on this front part of the instrument. And now we can also clean some of the other interior parts here along the sides. Now if the desolvation line is dry, then you can put it back onto the instrument. So there's that short side and the long side. The short side goes in first, and you can kind of tell based on how this plug is oriented. So just stick it there. And then sometimes you need to pull out these two little nuts a little more. There. These two. So that you can twist it on to those nuts, and then you can sort of hand tighten them. And then plug this back in here. And then just gently tighten those nuts. If you'd like, you can also use these little Q-tip things and use them to get in some of those nooks and crannies of this front plate and also the ESI part. So just put some methanol on the end and you can kind of more easily get in places like that or in here. Just be sure not to leave behind any little bits of cotton or any residue. And now just wait for the stuff to finish sonicating, the capillary assay and that front cone here. And then once that's done, we'll reassemble the rest. You can also clean inside here. Now that the sonicating is done, we can take these parts out from the sonicator. I grab a paper towel and take this cup and just dry it off. And then take out this tray and just set it here. And then take this and dry it off. And then go back to the LCMS room, carefully walking with these. Okay, now you can take out this cone, and this methanol left in here, we're gonna dump in here. And then the capillary assay is in here. And you can either try and get it out with your pinky or with one of these. That one's dirty, so let me get the clean one. Okay, let's just get this out. Like that. And then close this. So to reassemble the capillary assay, so you should be able to see on this side, it's tapered a little bit and this side is completely straight. It's pretty subtle, but you can tell. So take that tapered side, and that's gonna go facing down like this. So the flat side is gonna be sticking here, and the tapered side is sticking out there. So you can just stick this in here. So there's that tapered end, and there's the straight end. And then you can just use this top piece to align the capillary assay with the top here. Just like that. And then screw this in. And make sure that this is tight so it grips on. I think there's like a ferrule on the end of this that will grip onto this capillary assay. So you can try and hand tighten it, or you can use this wrench here, and that'll give you a little more leverage to tighten, but it is also a little more cumbersome. So just whatever works for you, just tighten it. And be sure not to bend this. And then give it a little tug. If it comes out, then you need to reset it and then tighten it. We just want this nice and snug. And then carefully put the capillary assay back in here. And then we're gonna tighten it down to the point where the capillary assay sticks out just a little bit. So up here, I'm just gonna be tightening it here, like that, so that it starts screwing in. And then down here, I'll position the camera so you can see sort of how the capillary assay sticks out. Let me just, like that. Okay, so it's gonna come out here. So just tighten it down. So I'd say that's too far, and that's not far enough. So it's supposed to be like 2 millimeters. So that looks pretty good to me. Now you can take this black nut and screw it on here. And then put this line back in here. So what I do is I retract this a little bit so that I make sure that the line seats correctly and is flush with the top of that capillary assay, and then push this down and tighten it. And I'm putting pressure on the line as I'm tightening it so that the line stays flush with the capillary assay. Okay, now we can work on this plate. You can inspect this to make sure there's not any excess residue. If there is, you can use a Q-tip and kind of get it, or scrape any residue off. And just make sure it's dry, and then put the 2 screws back in. And here, let me just loosen these a little bit and show you. So you can see there's a little wiggle in it. So just make sure that when it's tightened, it's not askew. You can just kind of hold it, make sure it's nice and straight before tightening it all the way down. That's good enough. Now we can put this plate on here. So you'll just make sure that these go in here and that this desolvation line comes out here. So just line it up as best you can. And sometimes it takes a little bit of wiggling to get it correctly seated. Okay. So there it's on, and there's the desolvation line. So you can screw these little bolts back in and then tighten them with that hex screwdriver. And just make sure that they're properly threaded before tightening them down. Now I'll bring over this whole piece here and set it on those pegs back there. Oops. Like that. Okay. And then just close the door. Okay, now take this line that you had put here and just hold onto it, and we're going to put it back right here. So again, I just retract this a little bit, and you just snap it into one of these. Let's see. Okay, and then push it in, and you'll feel it kind of seat properly. There's like a little lip that you can catch it on, which is not where you want it. But then right in the center it'll go flush with this. So just make sure it's correctly flush, and then keep putting pressure on this line as you screw this in. Otherwise you might get a leak. And then just make sure it's finger tight, and that's it. Now we'll turn the instrument back on and run an auto purge and check for leaks and make sure that everything's looking good. So open up LCMS-8050. And while that's opening, we can put back all of our supplies that we had gotten out. So we have the screwdriver and this little hex screwdriver, and the syringe, and this little wrench, and the plastic cup, and the methanol for the capillary assay, and then the green plastic tray, and I'm going to put it back all over there. And also this little key. And we'll also put back this thing that we used to clean the desolvation line. Okay, now that I have real-time analysis opened, I'm going to make sure that the LC and the MS both say ready. Sometimes the MS can say not connected or something else other than ready. Usually that just means that when we reinstalled this part, it was either not closed all the way or the connection it made with the MS was not correct. So if that's the case, just open and close it again. But right now it looks like we put that front end on correctly, so the instrument reads it as ready. So we're gonna make sure that we have our method open. So I'll just go to the most recent method file and open it. And download the parameters. I'm going to go into edit instrument parameters and go to the auto purge to make sure that we're purging mobile phase A and mobile phase B. If we had changed the mobile phases, then I would run the mobile phase for a longer time, but 1 minute is fine for right now. And then make sure we have the auto sampler and a warm up for a couple minutes. Download and close if we changed any of these parameters. And now we can run the auto purge. So now we'll just wait for this to finish purging. Okay, the auto purge has finished purging, and we can see we're at a pretty normal pump pressures, and the shape of the auto purge is what I expect to see. So we can come over here and just make sure that there's no leaks coming out from anywhere. And then we can check in here. Let's see if we can see that stream from that capillary assay. It's kind of hard to see it from there. But I'll check on that and see, because it's kind of hard to see without any light. Okay, well, I was able to see a stream in there, and there were no leaks here, and the pump pressure looks okay. It'll probably settle just above 5,000 psi. So it looks like cleaning the LCMS was successful, and now we are ready to run some samples.